Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Could this happen to us?
No.
Why not?
Doing a bunch of hard labor for free? Us? Are you kidding?
What are the Tommyknockers?
Basically aliens.
All this and more on Gory Storytime.
Warning. Gory Storytime is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Storytime. I'm your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and his father, Craig. And this week, for the second of our Stephen King miniseries episodes, we're going to do 4 of them. We're doing the Tommyknockers. More of a sci-fi than a horror.
But it is still a Stephen King miniseries.
Yes.
So it counts.
And some of those get more sci-fi-ish than horror anyway. Some. Well, let's see. What's the basic premise? There's a small town called Haven in Maine. Shocking for Stephen King to decide to put something to take place in Maine.
Yeah.
That's new.
It is.
Anyway, he, what is it? The wife character, I can't remember her name, Bobby. This woman, Roberta, but they call her Bobby, trips over something in the woods and sees that there's like this metal thing under the earth. So she starts digging it out and come to find out it's gigantic and she's not sure what it is, but she's addicted to being out there trying to dig it up.
Yes.
And the more she digs up, the more weird things start happening in town.
And the more she feels she needs to.
Yep. And people that are affected by this thing start losing their teeth.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Stephen King was like, I got to write a book that explains why we have bad dental.
Oh, that's the one.
No, so that's basically it. It's like her and the town and how they're affected by this thing she's digging up.
All because it tripped her one day.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, I've ran in that woods so many times and never saw that. Like, it could have been 100 years before it like just hit this one little corner and tripped over it, and that's all it took. Without spoiling anything, that's basically the premise, right?
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we show the trailer so that they know more of what we're talking about?
From the best-selling novel by Stephen King, Haven, a sleepy New England town whose patriotic spirit is alive and well.
Tommyknockers knocking at the door.
But lately, another kind of spirit has been knocking at Haven's doors.
Tommyknockers knocking at the door.
Something is happening here.
2 disappearances in 1 week. That's more than a coincidence.
All my years in the force, I've never seen anything like it.
Something unearthly.
It's just gonna change everything.
What's it like, this, feeling?
Let's experience it together.
Something evil.
Something is happening to you. Something's happening to this town. And I'm telling you, it has something to do with that thing in the woods in there.
There are those who believe.
We are about to reach the final phase.
There's something there, all right. And And that something has made the whole town go to hell fast.
There are those who deny.
Whatever this thing is making you, whatever the hell it's doing to you, it's not good, Bobby.
Are you ready to become one voice that will soon be free?
There are those who refuse to give in.
Shame on you, Bobby Anderson. Shame on you.
You got nothing to fear of.
One voice.
One voice.
You're like a vampire. You and your precious Tommyknockers.
From the world's undisputed master of horror comes an extraordinary tale of terror.
Join us.
Jimmy Smits, Marg Helgenberger, Joanna Cassidy, Stephen King's The Tommyknockers.
All right, now we are disappointed in that trailer.
You don't show a reveal for like in the movie. It's a reveal in the movie. You don't reveal it in the trailer.
No, I know. They show too much there. They really do. Like the fact that you don't know it's aliens until like halfway through the second episode, and there's 2 episodes of this miniseries. It's
like
two.
At
2
first,
hour
it was
apart.
just some glowing metal thing in the ground. For 2 hours, it was just a glowing metal thing.
That's why I didn't mind saying that it was aliens at the beginning during the questions before the...
Because it was the 90s, and if you haven't seen a 3-hour thing from the 90s, you're probably not going to.
Well, that and... Well, hopefully someone that hasn't seen it will go, oh, I'll give it a shot, because
hopefully.
But, especially if they believe us over... Well, we'll get into that later. But it's just frustrating that they get, like, they don't know how to tease things. Don't give that away.
Yeah.
But anyway, anything else you want to say about the premise prior to getting into the behind the scenes type stuff?
I mean,
and the
if you can, if
really
it
here?
comes up somehow, do watch it before we review it.
Did you look to see if it was streaming anywhere?
I didn't. It actually, no, when I looked up the numbers, it actually came up that it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't mean you can't find it at some point if you want to.
I'm sure
if you know me personally, I can loan you the disc.
I'm sure it still exists as a DVD other than on our shelf.
I would hope. If we bought the only copy, it would be very valuable, though.
Right?
No.
If it's the only
Not
copy.
with scores like that.
Especially with scores like that.
Okay. Anyway, before we get into the behind-the-scenes information, what we're really here for, as, you know, we've never mentioned this before, so we got to let people know that we're not really here to review horror movies. No, we're not really here. You can't see me. I'm John Cena.
And I am Drax.
Except I'm way too fat to be John Cena. Anyway, you're an idiot. Before you distract me, I'll finish what I had to say. You're a dumbass. We are actually here to try to make money. And the only way we can do that with a free show on a station that doesn't pay for content is we sell our souls to real companies that actually exist. And then we get paid to promote their products. Currently, we are getting paid, what was it they paid us in? Cheeseburgers?
Cheeseburgers?
I think it was cheeseburgers. And I had to tell them I'm low carb, like I can't have the buns. But anyway, you know what they said to me? You ain't getting none if there's no buns, hon. That was bad, especially since I misquoted it so that it made sense for the conversation. Anyway, this week, Gory Storytime is brought to you by Dollar Dentures Club. What is Dollar Dentures Club? Well, for $1 per tooth, we deliver high-quality teeth replacements right to your door. Well, high quality. Are they actually any good? No. They're only $1. What do you expect? Do you like spending hundreds on brand-name dentures? I'm guessing no. So stop gumming your food and start ordering from Dollar Dentures Club today.
$1 per tooth.
$1 per tooth.
And by Out of This World Adult Novelties, the adult toy shop for science fiction buffs. From naughty costumes based on your favorite sci-fi shows to vibrating lightsaber massagers and everything in between. Out of This World Adult Novelties is having a buy one item, get one half off sale, so come on in today. New this week, we have inflatable face huggers and sexy ladies of Star Trek playing cards. Now, out of This World Adult Novelties. Just because you're a grown nerd doesn't mean you can't keep collecting toys.
You could say even geeks have a little freak. Anyway. But that wasn't the one they went with.
Get it? Freaks and Geeks? The show with James Franco?
Oh, you mean the show I never watched? Yes,
yeah,
I'm referencing
I've never seen
that.
it either.
Or I'm talking about geeks getting their freak on.
What's more interesting, that or
lightsabers.
like freaks getting their geek on?
Anyway, that would mean they're like eating raw chicken head. Like, you know what geeks are? Like geeks are a thing from like the circus. A geek is the guy that would like eat a chicken's head off.
Sits down and watches Star Wars
that's
for 7 hours straight.
No, that's what an actual geek is. Anyway, let's get into the behind the scenes information, or as he likes to call it, the meat and beef.
Or as I like to call it, the meat and beef.
I just mouthed along with you when you said that.
Okay. The character of Becca Paulson and her adulterous husband Joe were from an original short story by Stephen King called The Revelations of Becca Paulson. King liked the story so much he wound up writing it into the novel The Tommyknockers. The short story itself would later be filmed for an episode of the 90s updating of the Outer Limits TV series with Catherine O'Hara in the role of Becca.
She was the mom from Beetlejuice.
Ah.
And she's coming back for Beetlejuice too.
Oh, I mean, it's a horror enough thing that we can mention it here. We just got that news.
We did that as a kid-friendly...
But, like, it's horror enough.
Horror-related thing, yeah.
Beetlejuice has been announced to have a sequel coming next year.
But right now we're reviewing the Tommyknockers. Knockers. According to Stephen King, the Tommyknockers is an allegory for his own personal battles with substance abuse. The character of Jim Gardner is largely based upon King. Is that why he was an alcoholic and a writer? That's weird. You'd think that would have come up before. The Shining.
And every other book.
I mean, as far as being a writer, yeah.
Butch Dugan.
I'd say Duggan.
Duggan and his deputies mentioned being from the city of Derry, Maine. Derry is the setting for It, Dreamcatcher, and more. Lawrence Cohern, who scripted the Tommyknockers, the Tommyknockers previously, he scripted the miniseries as well.
Yeah. So when they said we're doing another miniseries, they went back to him. They're like, "Want to do another one? Because we liked what you did with it." In the novel, the alien spaceship is described looking like a classic flying saucer. When it came time to shoot the movie, they redesigned it to look more futuristic so it wouldn't feel campy. I get that, though.
When the sheriff, Ruth Merrill, is searching in the woods for Davy Brown, she is accosted by Bobby Anderson's dog. She remarks that he is acting like a Cujo.
In reference to something, I don't know what. The original home video release of the miniseries was edited down to cut it into a 2-hour movie. And in that version, there seems to be many gaps in the plot, something the movie was criticized for. Years later, the DVD release of the complete miniseries allowed audiences to see it intact. See, you saw the full version, so I wonder how much of the percentages on Rotten Tomatoes were based on the movie version where they edited it down.
That would not be fair.
Right.
Though set in New England, the film was shot in New Zealand because it would cost the production less funds than filming in the USA.
The setting for the film is the fictional village of Haven Falls, Maine. The town name appears in other King works, most notably the TV series Haven, which makes sense.
I haven't seen that. Is it good? Have you seen that one?
I saw like the first season and liked it, but I never kept going with it.
The film's Italian title, Le Creature del Buio, meaning The Creatures of the Dark.
The title of the film refers to folklore of subterranean ghosts or creatures who are believed to menace miners. The Tommyknockers of this miniseries are, of course, the possessive alien spirits inside the buried spacecraft. But he basically said, like, come to find out those stories were based on what was happening here.
The two boys are walking through the woods where the spaceship is, and one boy tells the other his mom told him that this is where the Micmac Indians used to be. The Micmac Indians were also mentioned in Pet Sematary.
Yeah, as the ones who said, avoid this place.
It's evil and bad. Don't go.
Don't bury anything here. It'll come back and murder your face. After the initial television broadcast, Vidmark released a cut version of the miniseries that was 120 minutes. I guess we already said that. They cut out several characters, including the entire romance from Ruth and Butch, the cop and the cop. They cut that completely out of the movie version.
Man.
Right?
The movie would have been dumb.
It explains why he was so adamant about finding her.
That explains everything.
It does.
When Guard and Bobby are first lowered into the ship, Guard has nothing in his hands. On the way down, he suddenly has a flashlight.
That seems fair. Huh? When Tracy goes to open the lipstick laser to use it on Guard, the lipstick appears instead of the green laser, as in other scenes when she went to use a laser, there was no lipstick in it. So there was a mistake. They left lipstick.
Oops. When Guard is on the desk that controls the ship, he is...
That big circular thing that he...
Disc that controls the ship. He has a nosebleed. His face is alternately clean/bloody in subsequent shots.
Kind of goes back and forth, yeah. The scene after Bobby Anderson takes her dog back to the vet, after her and the dog discover the alien ship sticking out of the ground, while attempting to leave the vet, it's the exact same scene from when she brought the dog in before, but now it's a different day.
The Nutcracker doll's knife has blood on it before it stabs Ruth.
That would be a mistake. All right. Well, normally we do 20 facts. They technically only had 9, and I found a few other ways to find other facts, and one of them was even similar to... Yeah.
So here comes... Stretch.
No.
Okay.
We've already, padded stuff earlier. See, we're getting a nod from the producer going, yes, you have.
All right.
But I knew that going into it. So
oh, wow, we have.
Now we're going to talk about Rotten Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes is a thing that exists.
Yes, in which they compile the critics' scores, positive and negative, and just they give you what percentage said positive things about this movie overall.
Yes.
And you said that the critics scored this at?
A 30%.
Only 30% gave it a positive review. The people also can vote, and while they're not as wrong as the critics, they are still wrong at 39%.
Yeah. Weird.
Now, what was your least favorite scene?
Least favorite scene. All right. Probably. Oh, no, I liked that. Hold up. Okay. Now, I know that it added to the movie, but as the guy who was an alcoholic kept, getting drinks at places and with people and then, getting rowdy, I didn't like those things.
Because
made me uncomfortable.
Dealt with people that have addiction issues and
my entire life, and it's it sucks now, and it sucks now.
And it's not that you're opposed. You don't mind when I have a drink because you know that I'm not an addict.
But yeah, you don't have the problem.
Right.
This guy
had a problem.
This guy had the problem.
All right, I get it. Just from personal experience.
It works for the movie.
My least favorite part probably would have to be some of the special effects, but I know going into it, it was made in the 90s. It was a television budget, not a movie budget. I get these things. But they did good makeup effects to make her look like she was getting skinnier and skinnier.
Good makeup.
But the laser lipstick, that was hokey, awful. And they showed it in the trailer, and I'm like, that's going to keep people from wanting to see it.
People rated it without watching it because
you have to look past what they were able to do at the time for the money that they had. It's not the fault of...
Their practical, their costumes, their makeup, these were great.
Yeah, like even the ship as they were unbuilt.
The ship looked cool.
Yeah.
And then, like, it felt like a total blue ball.
I think you're using the wrong term there.
When at the end it's not as good you don't get what you wanted.
Okay. No, I guess you're using it right. What was your favorite scene?
Probably, okay, definitely. So, this ship thing is mentally taking control of, like, everybody who gets near it or is in the town. Except for one guy. And it tries to. And he's got a metal plate in his head because of something dumb he did when he was drinking.
And the plate, you're talking about when it starts stretching and like...
stretching out his head.
They're trying to pull the thing out from under his, like through his skin.
It's the thing stopping them from getting into his mind. So
They're
trying to remove it.
That's a special effect that looks good.
Really good. And it's not digital.
Right.
There's no way that was digital.
Exactly. All right. Well, my favorite part probably would have to be, like, because it's so visceral, when he tries to fool his wife into saying he's becoming one of them, you know where I'm going with this. Yes. He takes a pair of pliers and reaches up and grabs a tooth because these alien things are making people lose teeth when they're taken over.
Yeah.
So to prove he's one of them, he reaches up and just pries out one of his teeth by the roots.
Yeah.
And it's so visceral and so realistic sounding and looking.
Oh.
It just worked. I was debating to call it my least favorite because it was so traumatic, but it was so accurate that, like, yeah, that's my favorite. All right, on a scale of 1 to 10, for a miniseries. Made for TV, like, under the guise of what it is, the guidelines of what it is, what would you rate this?
I'll give this a 7.5. It's
That's
definitely
more than me, actually.
It is
not by a lot, but I'm gonna go 7.
It is significantly better than the last, in my opinion.
Than
The Shining,
which you liked,
which I like. Like, this is significantly better than that one.
Okay, well, that's because you also didn't have another movie of it to judge it against.
Maybe.
All right. So we gave our things, so I think that's pretty much it. We might as well throw up the side information, right?
So you can watch this show on Fact TV channel 1082.
You can also like us on
Thursdays
Facebook.
at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 7 p.m.
Okay, and then you can find us on Facebook, and by us I mean Gory Storytime and Fact TV, who makes this show possible. Like both.
Why not? Go to fact8.com, watch a bunch of the back episodes of This Is Many, as well as many, 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 many hours of other content.
Absolutely. And you can also check me and him out on the Twitter. Well, you can check me and me out on the Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
I'm at Craig Jakes, all lowercase, all one word.
And he's also at Jiggly Firmbrain.
Because he tweets things that I say in and out of context, whichever makes it funnier, just because he's like, you just say random stuff all the time that makes people laugh. People should read this.
I'm back on top.
Yeah, he just tweeted a bunch of stuff recently. So
I did. I started going and I was like, hey, there's a list of stuff.
The only thing else I can really say is type in Gory Storytime here, on YouTube.
On the tubes.
What'll pop up is Fact TV's channel and my channel. Give a like, subscribe, and notification smash to both.
Oh, yeah. And until next time, I've been your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and father, Craig. And sweet dreams.